Hi everyone, it's the last session aside from the awards, so it's us, awards, and then cocktails just to help you plan the rest of your day. My name is Jenni Murphy, and I'm with the College of Continuing Education at Sacramento State, and my esteemed panel, Jennifer Torres from the California Public Utilities Commission and Christine Arian from the College of Continuing Education. So that's who's up here with me, and we really don't have time to do introductions around the room, but just with some shows of hands, how many people are in state government? Okay, good. Oh yeah, everybody's listening. Okay, are there any county government? Federal government? Other? Okay, yay, we love some others. Okay, state government and others, we're in the house. How many people are in what's considered like HR? And then are you still in training if you're in HR? Or how many people are just in training? Okay, talent management, do you call it that in your agency or your entity? Okay, how many people are programs? Technical, IT? Excellent, okay. Just wanted to get a sense. I think I have one more question. How many people are familiar with the workforce planning strategy model from CalHR? Excellent, because I may have some questions about that as we're going through this, so now I know exactly who I'm targeting. They're on that side and that side. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have a session blueprint really quick. We are going to do a kickoff activity because it's late in the day and I know we need to get your blood flowing. We're going to talk a little bit about employer of choice, the workforce planning model, and those two things really are to kind of set up what our panelists are going to wow you with. Also touch on some resources that are available from CalHR that are really impressive, so I'll just touch on a couple of those, but hopefully whet your appetite if you're not familiar with them. And then to highlight our panelists and talk about some innovations that are going on out there in the field. And we'll have, hopefully, if we don't talk so much, we'll have a little opportunity if there's some innovations that you guys have going on that you'd like to share with your colleagues and your new friends in the room. So here we go. Activity time. So first let me ask a question. How many of you in your departments or organizations or your agency do exit interviews when people leave? Okay, excellent. How many people do stay interviews? Okay, cool. We have some, okay, I'm gonna call on you later. We have some folks over here. No, she's like, no, don't make eye contact. Excuse me. So, okay, so stay interviews are really that kind of opportunity to see, the name says it, why people stay. It's great to have the data when people leave, and certainly when we're doing analysis and trying to look to improve for our agencies or organizations, that can give us great data. It's also, in my opinion, great closure to the relationship, like when you're breaking up. Sometimes you need some closure. So I always think that's good. Stay interviews give you that opportunity to say, hey, what are we doing right? Why are you staying? So this is our activity right now. I'm gonna ask you guys to all close your eyes for a few minutes. And I'm going to give you this sentence, and I want you to finish the sentence. I love my job the most when. So think about when you're at your best, when you're truly loving your job. Okay, hopefully like 15 things popped in your head, at least one. Make a new friend, or chat with the old friend that you came to the session with, but talk about that real quick. When are you at your best and you love your job when? Go. Okay, I'll ask you guys to kind of wrap this up, and hopefully you made a new friend or re-engaged. So I don't know if you could sense it. Maybe you heard yourself or felt yourself get a little excited. Certainly from our vantage point up here, obviously the volume rose with people talking, but people's postures changed and the energy is up. And when we think about the good things that are going on and the things that we do well, it changes the way that we look at the world. It changes the way that we interact with the world. So that's one small little tool that can be great to figure out, why do people stay in your organization? What are you doing right? What can you do more of? And focus on the positive. We are really often oriented to find out what's broken, what's wrong, and how do we fix it, versus let's just do a lot more of the really cool stuff we're good at, and then maybe the other stuff won't matter, maybe the other stuff will go away. So moving on from that is really, to me, what I think in my philosophy when I think about employer of choice, and when I hear organizations and leaders talk about being an employer of choice, I think about, where are the cool places? Where do I want to be? What makes me want to go to work? And it's usually not the tasks, it's where I want to be, the environment that I want to be in. And really an employer of choice, when you can look up what does that mean, you know, there's scholarly definitions. We come from a university, but I won't bore you with the theory on employer of choice. It's really, really about having the right people, the right skills at the right time. It's about having a bench of folks that are ready, willing, and able to step up or step in or step over as the organization needs it. And we have the privilege at Sac State of working with a lot of the different agencies and departments over time to really look at the state of California as an employer of choice. And oftentimes we're in our agencies, we're in our departments, we're in our branches, and that's what's in front of us. But man, the state of California is pretty powerful, and the state of California is the largest employer in the state, so that's pretty darn cool when you think of it that way. And when you think of the cool projects that you can do at scale, that's really darn attractive. And the simple things in the world don't come to government to get solved. We get the hard stuff. So to do things at scale and solve hard problems, I think is a really noble cause. And I think that's for me, one of the coolest things about working in the state of California. I have been with the university for about 16 years and have been working with government agencies since that time. And I have earned my proper skepticism by now. I came in nice and shiny and was like, yay, everything's perfect. And they're gonna do some more new HR stuff and some training stuff. And I heard that ever since I started. And I would say really watching the evolution of the workforce planning model and the work that CalHR has done in the last several years, it's just amazing. It's impressive. It is the type of resources, the type of systems, the type of tools that we see in some of the largest, most amazing Fortune 500 and international companies. And it's truly, truly impressive. And it takes a long time to do this in any organization, so it certainly has taken time for CalHR, but so impressed with a lot of the materials that they have provided and the resources that are there. So, so several people raised their hand. They're familiar with this planning model. Can you raise some hands again? And maybe it's who's not familiar with this. Okay, so they've got a gazillion resources on the CalHR website with these maps. Really simply, like in my small brain, I think of the workforce planning model is really strategic planning around the talent and the people in your organization. So what do you got and where are you at, where you need to be, and where's the gap in the middle, and how do you solve that? And that's where the beauty and the creativity gets to come in, is how do you solve that, how do you address missing pieces and parts. So there's a 5-stage plan, and it's really big and bold and lays out a strategy, but like all big and bold things, you can do them at scale. You can scale down or you can scale up. So don't let that be daunting. And at any pieces and parts of this, you can do these also in your smaller departments and division and really exercise control. Here is some, not like you're gonna click and link on this right now, but the slides are available. But I wanted to highlight just, there's so many resources available on the CalHR website that you can click on to get toolkits, to get samples, to get templates and samples and examples. I actually brought a couple. I thought one of the cool things that was posted from Department of Public Health, they actually have their recognition programs handbook up there. Like, how nice is that? Download it, change the logo, edit a few things out, but use resources like this that are already part of the state of California to build your model. So we have a couple of handouts and stuff up here that CalHR was nice enough to share. They actually told me we're gonna be in the small room, so I literally thought like this table area, so I don't have enough, but first come, first serve. When we're over, we'll share. What we're gonna focus on with the panel today is really at that implement part of the workforce planning model. It's when you're figuring out how are you gonna get from here to there, so you know where you need to get and you know where you're at, like what do you do in between and how do you make that work, and how do we, that old saying, think outside of the box. I always think in this regulatory government environment, no, there's serious implications if you go outside of the box. Like, how creative can we get inside of the box? And I think this is the stage where that is at. All of the steps really in the workforce planning model give you a chance, whether you're at a leadership level, a managerial level, supervisor, new to the state, working in a division, to really address kind of these things in the employment life cycle, the recruitment, the retention, the development of your staff and your employees, the knowledge transfer, whether people are retiring, moving to other agencies, moving up or moving out, how do you retain the powerful knowledge and wisdom in your organization, and then also succession planning and building your leadership bench. So that's the big setup to get to the cool people that I brought with me today. So Jennifer Torres is with the California Public Utilities Commission, and I was lucky enough to serve on a committee with her, and I was really impressed with some of the innovative things they're doing. I said, hey, so I'm gonna do this session. They asked me to do this, will you come? So she's picked out a couple things to share with us, and she'll give a little setup of her organization first and then share some innovations.
All right, so the California Public Utilities Commission, we've gone through some rough times. I don't know how many people follow the press, but we had a president that was accused of being way too cozy with the utilities, and the legislature very angry at us, and bills to strip our authority, move us to Sacramento, even completely dismantle us and have us join other agency departments. So luckily, under new leadership, we were able to so far remain intact and actually grow our organization. So we received about 100 new positions last year. We've now opened an office here in Sacramento at 300 Capitol. We're trying to staff. And through all of this, the resources in our administrative core were stripped pretty significantly during the years of the prior administration. It was a lot of focus on policy, not so much focus on core administration. So suffice it to say, we've had a lot of bad audit findings. We've had really a need to rebuild. So one of the major areas of focus was in our HR office. And as we have over a 21% vacancy rate right now, we're really challenged to figure out how to fill that while trying to add a location that we hadn't previously had. So we developed what we called the People Partners Transformation. So we actually split our HR office into 2 units. One of them is remaining the Human Resources Office, which is kind of the day-to-day operations. And the other side is talent management, which is what I head up. And this is the workforce planning, succession planning, more the strategic side of HR. So your selection, onboarding, training, mentoring, coaching, kind of all those cool programs that Jenni was talking about on how you fill that gap in your workforce of where you are and where you want to be. So we developed a playbook where we're taking each event in the employee life cycle, so starting with selection, going through hiring, onboarding. We just launched the first of the year, and then later this year we'll be kicking into the employee development, life events, leaves, benefits that occur, and then performance management and offboarding. And as we launched our onboarding program, we actually developed a series of curriculum that takes staff during their first 6 months. Each month they attend a 2-hour session, and things like governance. How does the commission fit into the governance structure of the state? How does a bill go through the legislature? What is our role as a regulatory body? How do we engage with other agencies? How do we engage with utilities that we regulate? What type of environmental protection and access to the infrastructure and services do we need to provide for Californians, so that people really understand the purpose of working for the CPUC, the value that they bring, and how they fit into that organization. Yeah, I think the next one. So we used pop-up trainings. Our executive director had a major goal to create a learning organization. As we have over 60% of our workforce facing retirement, there was a real need to capture the knowledge of staff on their way out, bring the new people up to speed, and develop them. So we decided to try a series of pop-up trainings, which are 2-hour sessions led by staff that are the experts in a particular field. And they're all interactive, so the requirement was, we don't want a lecture. We don't want people sitting in a room being spoken to. So each one of these 2-hour sessions actually have some sort of activity or exercise where staff get their hands in the work. So if it's a bill analysis, they actually work on a bill. We'll get a letter from a senator, and they'll read it and say, okay, what would be a good response? What should we be looking at or thinking about? And then what happens to it? How does a bill become law? What happens behind the scenes? And as we were going through this really difficult time and not knowing whether we were going to exist, it was really great to use those real life examples to show staff what was going on behind the scenes, how it flowed through the process, and how each division within our organization interacts within that process. So we were able to use these pop-up sessions. Not only, we had one for our gas safety inspectors. So we are responsible for gas safety throughout the entire state. And there was a training on what do the inspectors do? What do they look for? So a lot of staff got to learn about that, and it actually opened up training and development assignments for staff that were interested in an area of work that they didn't even really know we did. This was also an opportunity for us to pilot some of our onboarding classes to see how staff responded to them, what was the most beneficial, what got the best scores in terms of the reviews and ratings feedback. So that helped us shape our onboarding curriculum by using these as kind of a test environment. And I think there's a slide of some of the...
So this is my high-tech, flying in some pictures here. This is like old school. We have some pieces of your marketing.
Yeah, so we actually came up with these flyers and handed them out outside of our building doors the day of the trainings. So we put them on our learning events calendar so staff knew about them, but the marketing was a little more kind of on the ground marketing, where we actually walked around and handed these to staff. And the idea was not to invite staff that are already working in that subject area or you would think would be most interested. So thinking with your eyes, how to use data to tell a story. So instead of just reaching out to people who deal with data, we actually wanted to pull in people from other divisions that don't typically work with data, so they could see a new side of the work that we do, and also break down the silos and barriers within our organization to get people to collaborate more and communicate more with one another.
Do you want to talk about any of the other specific ones?
Let's see, maybe the map making one was one of my favorites. It was really interesting. I learned and didn't know that we actually have an app, and it tests the speed in which broadband is delivered in various places throughout the state. So being where I sit in the organization, you would think I should know if we have an app, and I didn't. So that was probably one of my favorites. I got to learn something new. We did a lot around coaching and crucial conversations. That's a model that myself and one other trainer in my office are certified to give the full crucial conversations training, but we actually broke it up into 2-hour sessions to give people a flavor of what it was. And it's really how to communicate when the stakes are high, you have strong emotions and opposing views. How do you stay calm but get the message across and not feel like you need to either shut down or blow up? Because sometimes that's what we think is our only options.
So Jennifer, when you guys are coming up with these topics and doing the pop-ups, how do you get the ideas? How does leadership or the organization or the staff kind of contribute to what's needed, and how do you guys decide what to do and how to do it?
So we had the help of an executive level appointee. So she actually went around the organization interviewing staff to get an idea of what they love about their job, what areas of the commission they're familiar with and not familiar with. And through that, we were able to come up with a list of people that had a tremendous amount of knowledge that they were willing to share and put together these trainings. And we're also able to identify those gaps in areas that maybe people were not so aware of things that we do. So it was through a lot of interviews with various staff.
Anything else you want to add?
I think that's it.
This is my fancy PDF trying to turn them into images. My skill set is not with PowerPoint. Okay, so we will probably come back to some questions for you.